Hello everyone, it's Helen from Journaling Planet. Today we're going to have a go at decollage, which is French for unstick. And it's a very straightforward process. You only need a few items from your stash, and it also uses up a lot of magazine pages if you've got some lying around, or any other kind of paper if you're trying to use up any other kind of paper. And it's also fun because you don't have to be very good at gluing. You're actually going to tear up a lot of what you stick down. So I've just used this magazine page as a base. Actually, I quite like that side. I think we'll do that side. And that is just going to act as a signature. Okay, so I'm going to sort of try and keep my decollage to this side, because the idea is that I'm going to create a signature page, and I'm going to have somebody turn the page in their journal and see this decollage. But you could also, or decollage if you call it, you could also create a huge masterboard that was just decollage and cut it up and use it for belly bands and tags and pockets and envelopes and anything else you wanted to use. So let me show you the process really quick. Start with your base sheet, and then you're just going to take your glue and glue down random pieces of paper in any order whatsoever. The idea is to lose control and just glue anything down. It doesn't even matter how well you glue it down, because you're going to tear it up very soon. Could keep going, but that is a lot of layers, and I really just want to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to start tearing it up. I'm probably going to do a little bit of trimming on this side where it's a bit loose, but remember, it doesn't matter too much how neat everything is, because you're going to be tearing into this very soon indeed. Okay, so this is the most, I would say, time consuming part of it, is getting all your layers laid down, and then it's just a matter of ripping up once it's dry. So I'm going to take the dog for a walk and come back when that's dry to do some tearing. Okay, I perhaps cheated a little bit by putting this on the radiator to dry, but the glue is definitely set. And now I'm going to start tearing pieces away. I'll start by tearing around what I think are the most interesting pieces, and I'll also use a bit of sanding paper in order to get rid of perhaps some of the layers or the white piece of paper left behind by the tearing. I have put a piece of plastic down to catch any of the sanded off pieces. I'm very happy to reuse bigger scraps that I tear off this, but any sort of sanded powder will have to go into the bin. So let's see what comes out of this process. currently this is where we're at in terms of how it looks. I'm really quite enjoying the kind of torn edges, the texture that's come out of this, the different colours that have come out from sanding, and just having left behind the two faces in the decollage. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to seal over it with some Mod Podge really quickly. So it's now the next day. I didn't need to leave it that long at all. I just got busy with other things. It's a bit of a madhouse here at the moment, so I was, busy with other chores, but I just love the way this has dried and turned out. All that remains now is to put a few finishing touches to this one, and it will be, I think, a really wonderful signature for a junk journal. Before we get into that, however, I'm going to look at this one that I made separately using all the scraps from the first one and a few extra magazine pages. I just glued them on any old how and decided I would try and use up some of the scraps with another piece. My plan for this though is not to make a signature. It's just a small A5 strip. My plan is to basically use it a bit like masterboard and make some tags out of it. I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm just going to start ripping away and see what happens. So this is quite cool. It is not looking quite right to me yet, but you know how when you make masterboards sometimes it doesn't look so hot when it's in one piece, but then when you cut it down it just makes really interesting background. So I'm going to quickly Mod Podge over this and let it dry whilst I'm doing the finishing touches to my own other one, and then I'm going to chop it up and see if I can make some interesting tags from it. So alongside my crafting, I work as a novelist and poet, and a little phrase has come to mind that I could put on this picture. I'm going to quickly stamp it out on some book page and music paper ends that I've used for another project. So I'll speed this bit up. Okay, obviously I could have inked around those pieces of paper that I stamped, but to be honest, I mean, I did have my peacock feathers distress ink all ready to go, but I actually wanted to create a little bit of a muted contrast, so I decided against that. And I'm also going to do a couple of other finishing touches, so I just felt it would be a bit much to go around them in ink as well, but I'm really liking the way this looks. A couple of other things I wondered about was just playing with a bit of washi tape. Okay, that's subtle, but I can see the difference here. I'm not sure how well you can see the difference on the video. And then the last thing I thought I would do is just get my paintbrush out and spatter. And voila, I'd say that's a piece beautifully inspired by the palette of blue with a little bit of poetry in there to kind of direct the reader's mind to a little narrative between these two faces. I'm really pleased with how this came out, and it was not a difficult process at all. Let's see what we can do with this masterboard that I've created. Okay, I've cut these pieces down from the bigger masterboard, and they do look more interesting in this form, it has to be said. I'm still not happy with how they look as a finished product, but I can see now that they are sort of on their way to being something. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover the back with some brown paper so that when they're finished they can be written upon. So now that they're all backed, I'm actually also going to ink around the edge. I really want to use this Peacock Feathers ink because it's kind of a grungy gothic colour when it's married with red and black and blue. So I'm going to quickly go around the edge, and I think this is already going to lift the tags into something interesting. As I go though, I'm going to have to actually cut off the corners so that they actually look like tags too. Always amazes me how much better something looks just by cutting and inking it. It starts to look like a real thing just by doing those things. So I think these two might actually be okay as they are. They both have some item of interest on it. In this case, it's this very gothic eye that was off a Star Wars poster, and this one has a motorbike kind of from an old copy of Backstreet Heroes, that magazine, on the front. And I think literally just topping them, that will be it for those. This last one though, I think, you know, it's a bit more abstract, to put it politely, and I think I'm going to create an embellishment using some book page and an ink stamp. I think I'm probably just going to go for something kind of simple like some leaves, and because it's kind of looking like a theme of decay to me, so I thought about a couple of leaves, and maybe I'll get my paints out as well. We'll see how we go, but let's start by stamping the leaf and seeing what it looks like once I cut it out. Okay, I have painted both of these leaf shapes in contrasting colours. There's not quite enough room for both of them on the tag when you consider the topper that's going to go on, so I'm going to cut a little bit of this off the bottom. I've zoomed us in so you can see a little bit closer what I'm doing now that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of making and topping tags. I didn't do anything particularly exciting or original with these embellishments. I simply stamped some book page for a bit of texture underneath and then got my watercolours out. Okay, and now to top them, I've just got this piece of fabric that we acquired when we were shopping for curtains. We did not go with this colour in the end, but we still have I didn't want to throw away this curtain sample because it was just, the fabric was too nice, quite frankly. So let's have a little look at how wide we need it. I'll get chopping away and just quickly top them. Okay. I would have liked to have sewn around these, but they're just too thick for the needle I've got in my sewing machine. So we've got a little bit of black spatter over the top of that design. It's still drying, so if I move this around too much, then it does does run. So I'm going to try and keep this quite flat. So that's the first tag. this second tag here. It's amazing what a bit of black paint spattered can do to create some contrast in a piece. I think this one might be my favourite, so it's the one with the motorcycle on it, and I spattered that with some paint as well. So I'm really pleased about how that turned out in the end, even though to begin with I really wasn't so thrilled with the way it was looking. And then we have this signature page, which has so much texture on it. It's just really, really beautiful between the paint and the text and the sanding that I did on the decollage. I'm just really, really pleased with how this has turned out, and it's helped me realise that there are so many possibilities sort of waiting for me when it comes to this particular part of the craft. I hope this video has been inspiring. I hope you've got some ideas about how you could use decollage in your own projects, and I look forward to seeing you next time.